So a couple of days ago, I reported on a Greater Manchester expat and alleged member of the Kinahans who had been arrested at his Costa del Sol home, Johnny Morrissey, a former doorman from Rochdale who is alleged by Spanish authorities to have helped crime bosses launder at least £300,000 a day. Pictures showed Morrissey and his wife being led away from their gated Marbella home by Garda civil officers. Addresses in Haywood and Glasgow were also being searched by the National Crime Agency. Detectives in Spain say that they have now smashed the most significant international crime organisation specialising in cleaning dirty cash operating in the country. So they estimated that Johnny, who was sanctioned earlier this year by the US authorities as an alleged enforcer for the Irish-based Kinahans, could have laundered more than £173 million in the last 18 months alone. Detectives in Spain say that the cash had not been physically moved out of Spain, but spread throughout the world using an informal money transfer system. So this arrest has come about after US officials announced sanctions against several top members of the Kinahan organised crime group. Among the 7 individuals sanctioned by the US Treasury was Daniel Kinahan, who had previously worked as an advisor to boxer Tyson Fury. Treasury officials at the time said that Mr. Kinahan is believed to run the day-to-day operations of the organisation. The DEA over there in the US offered rewards of up to $5 million for information on leading arrests on any of the 3 Kinahans. They seized their US credit and debit cards, blocked any money that they held in US banks. But how did this all come about, and why are the Kinahans on the radar of the DEA? So in June 2020, Tyson Fury tweeted, "I'm just getting off the phone with Daniel Kinahan. He just informed me that the biggest fight in British boxing history has just been agreed." A big shout out to Dan. He got this done literally over the line. To the many millions of boxing fans viewing the clip, the name Daniel Kinahan wouldn't have meant anything. But for the DEA, this was a big thing. They couldn't comprehend with the fact of how Daniel Kinahan was taking over the world of boxing. This is when the DEA moved to strike. In an unprecedented move, the US Department of the Treasury's Office of Foreign Assets Control, alongside police chiefs from Ireland and the UK National Crime Agency, they announced a series of sanctions on the Kinahans. The group's 7 key members included Daniel, his father Christy Sr, and his brother Christy Jr. The Kinahans stand accused by the US government of running a transnational drug and gun trafficking organisation worth £1 billion, comparable to the Camorra in Italy and Los Zetos in Mexico, or even the Yakuza in Japan.
Including through drugs, violence, firearm deaths, and human trafficking and smuggling. And so today, the United States Department of State is pleased to announce a reward of up to $5 million for information leading to the financial disruption of the KTCO or the arrest and convictions of its leaders.
The Kinahan Transnational Criminal Organization joins the ranks of Italy's Camorra, Mexico's Los Zetas, Japan's Yakuza, and Russia's thieves-in-law.
To them, I'd say you can run, but you can't hide from justice forever. And from today, they will be running low on money, friends, and influence.
Clearly worried, the gang were gaining too much legitimacy in the US due to its links with a host of professional fighters. The US government offered a reward of up to $5 million for information leading to the disruption of the Kinahans or arrest or conviction of its key members. The declaration of war on the Kinahans included the freezing of US assets and businesses linked to them and a European arrest warrant on murder charges for Daniel Kinahan's most trusted lieutenant, Sean McGovern. The US Treasury said the Kinahan organised crime group smuggles deadly narcotics, including cocaine, to Europe and is a threat to the entire illicit economy through its role in the international money laundering. US authorities vowed to use every available resource to dismantle the criminal networks, which included scores of front companies, often food wholesalers, who used to move tons of cocaine, heroin and cannabis around the world and launder the proceeds. At the time, Drew Harris, the Commissioner for the Garda Islands National Police Force, said The sanction was just the first phase of an operation designed to land a heavy blow, if not a crippling blow, on the crime group. Back in March, Thomas Bomber Kavanagh, who ran the UK arm of the Kinahan Empire, was jailed for 21 years at Ipswich Crown Court for his involvement in smuggling cocaine, cannabis and money laundering. Ireland's Criminal Assets Bureau has stepped up its seizures of businesses and properties linked to them, including a £3.8 million mansion in Dublin. Then, the United Arab Emirates, where the Kinahans have been living since 2017, announced it will be freezing their assets. And as the boxing industry has begun walking away from the Kinahans, MTK Global announced it was ceasing operations. The thing to note here is that Daniel Kinahan, he's never been convicted of any crime. So the lesson here is, guys, just concentrate on yourself, because when shit hits the fan, there's no one there for you. You're on your own. Don't trust anyone to have your back, whether you're a good person, bad person, whatever. At the end of the day, when shit hits the fan, people will think of themselves. But anyway, with regards to the Kinahan, so the father, Christy Kinahan, he was raised in a middle-class family and sent to one of Ireland's best schools. He was smart, engaging, but he started getting into trouble back in the 1970s when he was known to the police for burglary, theft, forgery and property crimes. However, it's not until the late 90s that he turned to the business of drug dealing, originally running an inner Dublin dealing ring with his old associate Thomas Kavanagh. Kinahan was harbouring big ambitions. Jailed in the late 90s for drugs offences, he used his time behind bars to become fluent in a number of languages, which helped him take on his international trade. According to the US Department investigators dealing in mostly heroin and cocaine, he grew the business into an empire, importing from South America and dealing into Ireland, the UK and Europe. His sons Daniel and Christy Jr were allegedly involved, with Daniel accused by a Dublin High Court in 2018 of running most of the day-to-day operations, which by then included arms dealing as well as drugs across Europe, Asia, the Middle East and South America. Christy Jr is said to have run the accounts. In 2010, the Kinahans were busted by Spanish police, with the father and two sons arrested, and there were raids on their properties in Spain, the UK, Ireland, Cyprus, Belgium, Dubai and Brazil. The police found the gang had financial interests spanning the globe, from Libya to Panama, and after recovering €500 million in assets, including a corner of Brazil where the gang were planning to build hundreds of luxury apartments, the police in Spain boasted that they had taken down the Irish mafia. But the Spanish operation was botched, and none of the Kinahans were jailed. After the prosecutions in Spain collapsed, Daniel Kinahan then established his own boxing gym in Puerto Banús near Marbella on the Costa del Sol, and by 2015 he'd moved from training to management, signing around 100 boxers. However, the Kinahans became embroiled in a feud with a rival Irish crime group, the Hutch Gang, after the gangland execution of Gary Hutch in Marbella by James Quinn. The Hutch crew was accused of hitting back in very public fashion at the weigh-in for the Clash of the Clans boxing match, which was arranged by Daniel at the Regency Hotel in February 2016 in Dublin. As one of the boxers stood on stage, armed men disguised as police, including one dressed as a woman, stormed in to assassinate Daniel. He escaped out of a window, and instead they shot one of his closest friends, David Byrne. And for that incident, Jerry the Monk Hutch and Jonathan Dowdall are due to go on trial for the attack. The whole incident was caught on film and became worldwide news, but the aftermath was far more deadly. A string of tit-for-tat executions saw 10 people murdered in 2016 and a further 6 in 2017. Most victims were Hutch associates executed in Dublin streets, but those killed also included people with no connection to the crime. In February 2021, BBC Panorama broadcast a report on Kinahan's involvement in boxing. Barry McGuigan, a former boxer, spoke about intimidation in boxing, but Daniel Kinahan denied the allegations. Kinahan actually issued a statement to TalkSport over in the UK, denying that he was part of any criminal organisation. He also denied making threats to journalists and confirmed that he was still involved in boxing. He claimed the Panorama programme was a rehash of unsubstantiated allegations that had been made previously on many occasions. He criticised the Special Criminal Court and said that he had no convictions. So guys, that's a bit of background with regards to the story that was released a couple of days ago. about Johnny Morrissey, who was accused of handling Kinahan's money laundering operations, and he was arrested in Spain. Absolute madness, guys. Let me know what you think. It's your boy GC. Keep it locked, keep it real.